What's good? It's your boy Fanon. Some news came out from Barry Hearn, the father of Eddie Hearn, who said that he anticipates Joshua Wilder talks to start next week. I certainly hope that this is the truth and that there will be negotiations beginning next week for Anthony Joshua to face Deontay Wilder. I'm not particularly hopeful, but I would love if that was the case because I think that's what both fighters need. I think that's probably one of the most important things in boxing right now is for Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder to get into the ring and so that we can find out who the heavyweight champion of the world is. Now, before I do that, we did a live stream today, might do a live stream later tonight. We're having really very good conversations on the channel. And the best way to know about those live stream discussions is by subscribing and hitting the bell icon. When you hit the bell icon, you'll be notified of whenever the live streams start. I don't plan them out ahead of time. I really don't even plan out the discussions and definitely don't plan out the timing of them ahead of time. It's kind of catch as can. But very, very good conversations with a lot of very mature boxing fans mature and knowledgeable boxing fans in the comment section. And the best way to be able to know when it is and to participate is to hit the bell icon and be notified of that. Now, with that said, let me go through this article real quick. But before I go through the article, I want to be real clear that I have done, and many other people have done a lot of videos about Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder in the lead up to Deontay Wilder's fight against Luis Ortiz, and in the lead up from pretty much this whole month of March, the lead up into last night's fight between Anthony Joshua and Joseph Parker. The reason why I think that this conversation is probably the most important one in boxing is because it crowns the king of boxing. People that are familiar with how weight classes work understand that there are a bunch of weight classes and then there's a heavyweight division. The heavyweight champion of the world is the man in boxing. And whenever you have one guy that reigns supreme above all the other heavyweights, boxing is usually very healthy. It's when you get into situations where no one knows who the man is at heavyweight that there's a decline in the heavyweight division. And when there's a decline in the heavyweight division, generally speaking, there's a decline in boxing. Because relative to the other sports, heavyweight champion is the guy that can look at any football player, any basketball player, any soccer player, any other athlete out and say, you might be able to throw a ball further than I am, and you can jump higher, but I will knock you unconscious. You might lift, you might be able to lift more weights than me. You could be a great, whatever you do. If you and I get into a disagreement, I'm going to win because I will put you to sleep. That's what happens when you have a George Foreman. That's what you have when you have a Muhammad Ali or a Joe Louis or a Mike Tyson, a Lennox Lewis. That's what you have. But once the Vladimir Klitschko and Vitaly Klitschko took over the heavyweight division, being two great fighters, without a doubt, two great fighters, that answer to that question, who is the heavyweight champion of the world, could not be answered. And since Lennox Lewis came around, there has never been a time, since Lennox Lewis fought Vitaly Klitschko, since that fight, there's never been a period of time where we knew for certain who the best heavyweight, who the number one heavyweight in the world was. Consequently, who was the number one guy in sports in boxing, period. A bout between Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua can answer that question. Some other questions have already been answered. Who can draw the most? Who has the most Instagram followers? We understand who that is in the heavyweight division. That's Anthony Joshua. We know that Anthony Joshua has the most Twitter followers. We know that. We know that he earns the most money in the heavyweight division. That's already settled. We know who has the most people come to his fights in the heavyweight division. We know that. We also know who has the most knockouts and has been a dominant champion the longest. That question is answered. That is Deontay Wilder. We know who has knocked out everybody he's ever fought is as a professional. That question is answered. That's Deontay Wilder. There is no question about these two active fighters and what they bring to the game. Tyson Fury is a question mark out there, and when he comes back, then he can be added to that equation. Once he fights, once he has a couple fights and he's ready to get into the ring and answer the question with Anthony Joshua, right? Whose belts are those? Because we know right now whose belts Anthony Joshua is holding. Those are Tyson Fury's belts. The WBA, the IBF, and the WBO belts are Tyson Fury's belts. They are not Anthony Joshua's. So we have those questions. We already know the answer to these questions. Who has the most knockouts? Who's the most dangerous puncher in boxing? When Deontay Wilder left Luis Ortiz sitting on one knee, drooling on his shoe, that question was answered. When we saw the fireworks and the AJ fireworks and the big crowd in was that O2 Arena and Wembley and we're in Cardiff, we see who has the biggest crowds. We already know who those belts belong to relative to Tyson between Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. They're Tyson Fury's. Tyson Fury's never lost in the ring. And he never held the WBC belt. The question that hasn't been answered is who is the best heavyweight? Who, if you put these guys in the ring with one another, who will win the fight? Will Deontay Wilder beat Anthony Joshua? Will Anthony Joshua beat Deontay Wilder? I can say what I think the outcome could be. People who listen to this video can say what they think the outcome is, but we do not know until we see it happen. So hopefully what Barry Hearn says will come to fruition. So what he says in this article that came out today, Barry Hearn, I believe Joshua Wilder talks will start next week. Barry Hearn thinks talks over a world heavyweight title unification fight between Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder could get underway next week. Joshua added the WBO to his IBF, IBO, and WBA straps by beating Joseph Parker in Cardiff on Saturday. Nearly 80,000 fans were cheering Joshua on at Principality Stadium. I didn't hear the cheering. I heard a lot of mumbling. That aside, it was the first time where Joshua went the 12-round distance. He previously went 11 rounds in his knockout win over Vladimir Klitschko last April before 9,000 fans in Wembley in London. The Brit has now set his sights on Wilder's WBC title, and Matchroom Sports chairman Hearn, father of Joshua's promoter Eddie, expects the two parties to begin dialogue in the very near future. It is a fight Anthony Joshua really wants, and I think he wants it this year, Hearn told BBC's Radio 5 Live Sports Week program. Anthony Joshua wants all the belts. It is the big card Deontay Wilder has got to play commercially. Joshua is far bigger than Deontay Wilder. I think Wilder would come over here, the UK, because in the world we live in boxing, a couple of $1 million Wilder is getting for a fight is pretty small fry in comparison to the rewards that await him for a Joshua fight. I think negotiations will start next week. Barry's son and Matchroom company head Eddie Hearn taunted Wilder's camp after Joshua's unanimous point wins over New Zealander Parker at a packed Principality Stadium. They don't want it. They never approached us, he said. AJ's fought all champions and won all the belts. After 21 fights, he has a chance to be undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. Deontay Wilder's people don't contact us, and they don't want to know. If they don't walk the walk, they can't talk the talk. Now, see, all that is fine and dandy about wanting to have all the belts. I can understand that. You want to have all the belts. But do you want to beat Deontay Wilder? Those are two different questions. The belts signify something. The belts are around the waist of the champion or around the shoulder of the champion. But you have to be, it's the champion that matters. The belts aren't throwing punches. If you had Deontay Wilder with no belts, because I'll tell you, better of fact, the best example is Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury doesn't have any belts because Anthony Joshua's holding them. But it doesn't take too much for somebody that's being honest to acknowledge that Anthony Joshua doesn't have any belts that came from Tyson Fury directly. And nobody beat Tyson Fury in the ring. Tyson Fury, for whatever type of issues Tyson Fury had, Tyson Fury was the the WBA, the IBF, and the WBO title holder, and he never lost in the ring. Deontay Wilder is the WBC champion and has never lost in the ring. Anthony Joshua has exactly what Barry Hearn says he has. He has more money. That's what he has. He has more money. And that's it. He has more money. He has more Twitter followers. He has more support of a section of fans in his home country. But he can't look in Tyson Fury's eyes and tell Tyson Fury that those are his belts. You can't. He's got a man that doesn't live very far away from him at all. They can get on TV. He could probably drive to Anthony Joshua's house, looking Anthony Joshua in the face, and tell Anthony Joshua, man, those are my belts. I won those I beat Klitschko for those. You beat Klitschko for vacant titles off of a loss after he lost to me. You got my leftover belts off of my leftover fighter. You got the belts are leftovers, Tyson Fury leftovers, and the fight over Vladimir Klitschko is Tyson Fury's leftovers. But all that can be answered. And Anthony Joshua can make all those criticisms go away with the fight with Deontay Wilder. And we'll see if those happen. What does Barry Hearn mean by the negotiations are going to start? He expects them to start next week. What does that mean? Does that mean you think that the bout is going to happen? When you say what Anthony Joshua wants, is that the same thing as saying what Anthony Joshua insists on? If Anthony Joshua insisted on a fight with Deontay Wilder, I believe the fight would happen. How much money does Anthony Joshua need? When Anthony Joshua's asked about the belts after the fight, he's asked, do you want Deontay Wilder? He says, look at the belts. I want the belts. I want the belts. I don't really care about the guy who it is that I beat to get the belts. As long as I get the belts, now I'm paraphrasing him. That's what a paper champ is, man. That's what a paper champ is. A paper champ is somebody that has the belts on paper, but he hasn't beaten the best guys in the division to get them. And I'm saying this to people who are Anthony Joshua supporters. Can you say that Anthony Joshua beat the best competition to get those belts? When he beat Charles Martin? Can you say that he fought the best competition to get those vacant belts? When he fought Vladimir Klitschko, who lost his last fight to the guy that took the belts from him? Can you say that Tyson Fury is not the holder of those belts, that Tyson Fury isn't the better fighter than Vladimir Klitschko the night that they fought in the ring? Of course you can't. Because that's not the case. What the case is, can you say that Joseph Parker, by beating Joseph Parker, and definitely in the fashion he beat Joseph Parker, that Joseph Parker was the top guy in the heavyweight division? That his belt wasn't a hand-me-down belt from Tyson Fury? No. You can't. And you can say that he's beaten more people, and he's not even beat more people than Deontay Wilder is. Has he beaten Deontay Wilder? Has he beaten Deontay Wilder? No. So you do not know if Anthony Joshua is the top welterweight. And the only way to see for that question to get answered is for him to fight him. But if Anthony Joshua was just interested in the belts and not interested in beating somebody specifically, that just tells you a little bit, tells me a little bit about his mindset. I can't remember who the guy that said, you can't tell me that there's somebody else around me in my division that can beat me, and I'm not going to go looking for that dude. That's what Andre Ward said that. Andre Ward said, you cannot tell me that there's somebody else in my division, in my weight class, that's better than me. I'm going to go looking for him. Because it's going to be me or you, and one of us somebody's going to be the man after you're going to have to see me. That's what Andre Ward said. You're going to have to see me. I don't care about the belts. You can't be in my weight division saying that you're better than me, and I'm not going to go out of my way to come get you. He didn't say I'm looking for the belts. I just want the belts. As long as I have all the belts, I'm cool. Just give me the belts. That's what I'm working for. I'm working for the belts. I'm not working to be the best. I'm not working to where there's no question that I'm better than everybody else. I'm looking for the belts. The belts don't mean you're the best, you're better than everybody. Especially the belts that Anthony Joshua has and the belt that Deontay Wilder has. Because Deontay Wilder has not beaten Anthony Joshua. And Deontay Wilder has not beaten Tyson Fury. It goes both ways. And that's what boxing is. When you are issued, and that honestly, man, is why sometimes these belts are the worst thing for boxing. It's because you can sit and say you have the belt and that makes you the best because you have a belt. It's not that you're the best because you beat everybody else. And you can say that up and down boxing. You can say it for Vasyl Lomachenko and Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia was the WBC 135-pound champion and never fought another dude at lightweight. After he got the belt, you can't say that he was the best 135-pounder, that he was the champion at 135 pounds. The only guy that you can say is the man at a weight class that currently is the guy when Usyk fights Gassiev. The winner between Usyk and Gassiev is going to be the man at cruiserweight, and there's no choice. But then he's going to have to go out there and he's going to have to defend that again. You're going to have to, you say you're the best and people believe you're the best, then you're going to have to defend that. And you got to defend that in the ring. You're not going to be able to defend it by pointing to your balance sheets. You're not going to be able to defend that pointing to your Twitter followers. And if this was Deontay Wilder that was acting like he didn't want the fight or who was in question, if what Eddie Hearn was actually saying was true, then Deontay Wilder can't say he's the best heavyweight champion and know for sure if he's knocked out a bunch of people other than Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. Tyson Fury probably has the best argument for saying he's the man, other than the fact that he hasn't been in the ring for 2 years. So, hey, man, you got to go ahead and defend it and get in the ring so we can see if you're still the best. But there's a difference. There's a difference between saying you want the belts and saying you want to be the best. Because if you got rid of all the best, you got rid of all the boxers, you still got the belts. I mean, you get rid of all the belts, you still got the boxers. So hopefully he's not blowing smoke, but I think that they are. And with that, I'm out. Peace.